Should you play Masks: A New Generation? That is the question that we're going to try and answer. We are the Printy Brothers. We've played a fair amount of sessions of Masks.
I really enjoy Masks. It is one of my favorites.
So the short answer is yes, you should play it. But to go into a little bit more depth, Masks is a tabletop role-playing game that is all about teenage superheroes in a team. If you want to play as adult heroes that are on a team, this is not the game for you.
It fills a very specific niche.
Yes,
the
it does.
Teen Titans-esque niche.
Yeah, so the examples they give in the book are Teen Titans, Young Justice, Young Avengers, a few other teams with Young at in the title.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to play something with that vibe, this is a great game.
In the progression of this game, whenever your character levels up a lot, eventually they can retire and become a paragon of the city. That's them becoming an adult hero.
And at that point, you don't play that character anymore. Yeah. So, Masks is a powered by the Apocalypse system.
Similar to our last video about this, Ironsworn, which was a powered by the Apocalypse as well.
This is a 2d6 system. 7 to 9 would be a success or partial success, and a 10 or more is a big success. Anything lower would be a failure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's similar to most powered by the Apocalypse systems.
I think it serves the system pretty well. It's not very complex, which I don't think you want something too complex for this type of game. I like that there are varying levels of success, so that whenever you roll, most of the time you're going to be rolling a partial success. Usually that means there's some kind of interesting decision you have to make. But then whenever those full successes do roll, it feels like a big moment where your character really has succeeded.
Yeah, I really like how the list of moves have decisions baked in if you roll a partial success. Like, it's usually, you can pick from one of these 3 options.
And sometimes even if you succeed or fail, sometimes you'll get options as well. I like that you really have to make some interesting choices, and it's not just mechanical choices. Usually it's a choice that is going to affect the story in some way. Each roll affects the story, whether it be good, bad, or in between. The mechanics for fighting people and also just talking with people are the same mechanics. So like a conversation with someone can be just as intense as fighting a deadly foe.
The combat is, I think, really well done because, like you say, it works the same as anything else in the game. The only difference is that you have the team pool when you go into combat.
I love the team pool.
The team pool is basically when you go into combat, you answer a few questions like, are you entering the fight as a team? Does everyone trust your team leader? And if the answers are yes to those types of questions, you get a point in the team pool. And you can use your team pool to...
You can retroactively improve your die rolls.
If you roll something and you're like 1 under, you can't just use a team from the pool. You have to have another member of the team help you on that roll.
And they have to help you in some way that fits in the fiction of the game.
Yeah,
so it's creative.
It's creative, and it works with the theme of the game of teamwork.
Right.
Which is really cool. The way combat works is the heroes, as well as the villains, have a list of conditions. And whenever something bad happens, you fail a roll or something like that, you mark a condition. When all your conditions are marked, you are out of the combat, you retreat, or you die, potentially, if you want to go that far. Probably not.
But you could. It's easy in this game to avoid death.
Yeah.
There's oftentimes more interesting consequences.
And the villains have these conditions as well, and you can mark their conditions with basically any of the moves. You don't, the main kind of combat move would be directly engage a threat, which is basically you trade blows. That could potentially come to a condition marked for the bad guy.
But that's seldom the only thing rolled in combat.
Yeah, you can also do literally any of the other moves. So for example, you could provoke someone. You could try and like work in their ego and talk to them and make them go on a villain monologue or something. And that could mark one of their conditions as well, which is really cool, really interesting.
I think this game, above anything else, really promotes role play for the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Because each playbook is unique to each of the classes. You print out a specific character sheet for each class, basically, and they all do different things. And each playbook has a variety of things, mostly to promote roleplay and give you a few specific abilities as well. One of the fun things is at the beginning of character creation, you have to establish relationships with the other characters at the table. So you have to fill in little blanks on your playbook to say, like, I admire this character, or this person scares me. when they do things, stuff like that. So it creates interesting relationships right off the gate,
Yeah.
which I like a lot. And then also one other thing I like about it is at the back of the playbook, there's a couple abilities that each of the characters get that is like some kind of role play scenario. It says something like, whenever you ask someone if you're good enough and they say yes, you get to add one team to the pool or something like that. It gives you little like role play scenarios to introduce.
Yeah, and the playbooks are very specific as well.
Right.
Basically, each playbook has their own like character and even a character arc built into the playbook. You're not going to like come up with a totally unique trope for this game. This game has those tropes baked in, and you can put your own spin on it. I wanted to give an example. We can talk about the Beacon, which you played in our game.
Yes.
The Beacon is basically that hero that doesn't have any powers, and their whole thing is, are they even worthy of being on a superhero team? Because they don't have powers. So they're trying to prove that they're worthy, that they're good enough to be a hero. That's the playbook, and that is a baked-in character trait.
And I really found that there was a lot of interesting things to dig into just with that concept alone. And, things on the playbook just also inspire different ideas for that character. Like every single mechanic for that playbook ties back into that main idea.
Yeah.
It's really easy to create an interesting and compelling character.
It's hard not to make a compelling character in this game.
I mean,
because all the playbooks are so good. Another example is the Outsider, which is basically like your Starfire from Teen Titans, where they're an alien or something like that, and they don't know if they belong, so they're trying to find belonging on the team, trying to potentially become more human.
One potential downside is that you can't necessarily create every single type of character you could think of, maybe. But I also kind of like the factor of looking through and picking which one you have to build inspiration. You're not just starting with nothing. They give you a very strong base to work off of for your character.
Each playbook has what's called their moment of truth. And their moment of truth is something you can activate basically once per campaign. And the moment of truth is basically you seize control of whatever scenario you're in. Like you take almost full control. You can basically say, all right, we're going to win this encounter because I'm using my moment of truth. And you can only do it once per campaign. So when it happens, it is epic. And basically your moment of truth is almost a fulfillment of the character. Okay, so the Beacon's moment of truth is, this is the moment when you show them exactly why you belong here. You do any one thing. Take out any one enemy, no matter how insane, no matter how ridiculous, because that's you. Their draws are going to drop when you're done. Of course, pulling off a stunt like this tends to bring unwanted attention and a dangerous reputation. So you can see how that ties directly into the rest of the playbook with the Beacon.
Yeah, see, when you read that off, I'm just thinking about when I utilized that moment of truth in our campaign, and it was one of the most epic things I think I've done in a game.
I was the GM for this, but also I like to get ideas from the players and kind of let them control different things. Like they're like, oh, I want to go to this random class, and I'm like, all right, you can go to that class. They're students. It encourages improv.
Yeah,
and
improv and role play.
The moment of truth is also an example of that because it's really the player takes control of the entire situation, and as the GM, you have to roll with that.
This game requires a lot more creativity on the side of the players, which I think some players might struggle with a little bit if they've never, like, if you have a player who's never GM'd before, it might be a little difficult to get that out of them. For me, this is perfect because I enjoy GMing, so it's fun to also kind of stretch my creative muscles a little bit as we play and come up with interesting scenarios and ideas and stuff.
The lore of the game is pretty cool. It's very kind of generic, which works for this.
It's such a like stereotypical superhero setting.
Basically you live in it takes place in Halcyon City. And Halcyon City is basically the hub of all superheroes. And it just in the book it describes like the citizens are like used to alien invasions and robot attacks and superheroes flying overhead.
Just every other Thursday.
Every other Thursday. It creates a cool atmosphere, and it's generic in a cool sense. Like, wow, we're really in a superhero game right now. It kind of gives me like Sky High vibes, and it's light and fun. Yeah. It's not like
there's nothing heavy really about it.
It's like campy. It's a cool superhero campy type thing.
Very campy.
It's not like your dark, gritty Gotham. That wouldn't really work for.
And there can be some grittier moments, but the world is very campy. And also, when we were playing it, because it's such an out there and campy world, I, as a player, felt like I was part of creating it because I can come up with ideas for the game as well.
And it's not like I stuck fully to this. Obviously, I changed a lot of things.
But I know a lot of the times you took inspiration from us. Like, we came up with this character called the Brutalizer, who's just a play on the Punisher, and you ended up putting him in the game.
Yeah.
Which is that kind of cool stuff that I like.
I also wanted to give a shout out to the artists who worked on this.
The art is really good.
The art is so good. Like, flipping through, they have each of the playbook characters, and they have different poses.
Kind of the default playbook characters.
It almost makes you want to just play as like the default art type characters that they have in here, because the art is just so good.
The art is really good.
Other than that, do you want to rate it out of 5 stars?
Yeah, I just really like this one just because the character creation and the roleplay aspect of it is so strong. My character, Finn, is one of my favorite characters. Probably my second favorite character that I've ever played. Just because just the playbook makes for such a strong character just innately. Like, it really is hard to make a uninteresting character in this game. Yeah. Like, it's actively difficult to do that. Yeah, well, I don't know. I guess I'd give it 5 stars.
All right. We'll give it 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good game. I really enjoy it. Yeah. I want to play it again.
So that is the answer. Yes, you should play Masks.
All right, then.
If you want to see more RPG-based videos, we're the Printy Brothers, and we make videos like that. So subscribe.
We have another video just like this one covering Ironsworn and Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.